I went into this episode with this big grandiose plan and what we were going to cover and what we were going to talk about, and just can't focus on that. We talked about it. This is going to be business and life and family and struggles. And in that first episode, I mentioned struggles recently with my health and that minor stroke that I had. And this week's it's just really weighed on me really heavily. And, I try really hard not to let it. It's hard though. It's really, I think the part that's wearing on me the most is trying to stay positive while not knowing and being told it could be scary, scary things. And that's getting hard. And I'm feeling it. Had testing this week, several tests, had an appointment with a neurologist, and I'm thankful that I was able to get into the neurologist so quickly. But it's, it was unexpected. And this testing that was done, echocardiogram and bubble study and ultrasound of my carotid arteries, and, staying calm and cool and collected is starting to wear on me. And not having answers, that's hard. It's scary to move forward with, life as it is or as it was, while, not knowing what the future holds, what it looks like moving forward, what I'm in for with this, what's coming. I've worked diligently to remove myself from the businesses as much as possible. If that, I'm still very heavily involved, but I'm trying to allow myself the time to heal and process and not have so much weighing on me at all times, operating businesses while dealing with this, the stress load would be astronomical. So very excited to have staff and people that I trust to run the businesses and handle things. And while I can just kind of bounce around and be fairly disconnected, while also not being disconnected at all. But that's not my personality. I'm really, really struggling with that as well. And I think that's part of the weight that I'm feeling this week. I don't do well sitting. That's just not, I have time, I have stuff to do, and I want stuff to do to pass the time. And so the stress load's lower, but it's not really, if that, the physical stress load is much lower. I'm not working. I'm not pulling 16-hour days or longer, in many cases. I'm just there. And I think that's part of the struggle is it's just not how I'm wired. It's not who I am to sit stagnant and not push forward. So, the testing, hopefully we'll get some answers. We've got follow-up appointments scheduled. I've got another appointment scheduled with another specialist in September. And I'm hopeful that we'll get some answers. The scary ones, the not scary one would be the most ideal, but an answer of some sort would be fantastic, because even the scary ones have solutions. And that would just, it would settle settle that anxiety that is hanging over my head and allow me to get back to some semblance of normal again, maybe. As I said, I've hired myself out of the businesses at this point, which is a fantastic feeling. That was the goal always, right? Like that's that freedom again. Here I am. It's a beautiful summer morning, and I decided to hop on the bike and go try and pull some thoughts together and put a video together. And we're going to talk about, all sorts of stuff. I had this kind of plan for the day or for the morning and for this video. I got on the bike and rode in silence, just trying to put some thoughts together to put on paper, essentially, to put on video. And I just couldn't do it. And it's just because that weight has got me held down pretty hard right now. The relief that I was hoping I would have from that neurologist appointment on Monday was non-existent. We had a great conversation. He took a lot of time with us as my wife was there, and to make sure that, we found out something. Unfortunately, there was really nothing to find out. The appointment happened so quickly that the doctor didn't have a chance to get all of the records from my hospital stay a few weeks ago. So he didn't have the MRIs and CT scans and heart monitoring tests and all of the things that they had. So he did a bunch of procedures in-house, or testing in-house, just check balance and make sure, things were okay. But there was no answer. It was still completely uncertain. And in a world full of certainty for so many people, that uncertainty when it comes to your health is really hard. And so I'm just trying to do my best to let them do their jobs, let them do their tests and be a good patient. But I want answers, and I'm a right now kind of guy, which is why I operate the businesses the way that I operate them, with a right now kind of style. I don't want to be booked out weeks, as much as I would love that certainty in, incoming work. I don't want people to have to wait, because I don't want to wait. And could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. The repair shop, life happens, that's a necessity. People will just have to wait if they have to wait. At the detail shop, though, that's a luxury service, and it comes with a luxury price tag. And that's fine, but it's not a necessity. So if I can't get somebody in right now, they're going to find somebody that can. So while I may stay a week or so out, I booked the schedule really light on purpose to always allow room for more work. For that quick oopsie on the interior, or just bought a new car, need it ceramic coated right now before I go on this road trip. Whatever it is, right? We're all impatient. And the kids, the younger generation is a prime example. They see a commercial and they freak out because they have no idea what that is, or why their show was interrupted. Meanwhile, people my age grew up watching commercials and watching movies where we had to watch credits and advertisements before the movie even started, or fast forward through them. And that's just kind of the way the world is today. And so I try to cater to it to some extent, especially in the luxury business. The repair shop, people are going to have to wait. We get a lot of emergency situations over there. And so, we try to prioritize and help as quickly as possible, whether that means I step in the shop or whoever, to lend a hand to the mechanics and make sure things are getting out in a timely manner. We just do what we've got to do. but waiting on answers about your health is hard. And it's weighing heavily, like I said. And trying to stay positive and be upbeat and act like everything's okay. That's getting hard. Real hard. I'm just living every day to the max. I'm optimizing, my time with my wife and my kids, trying to be the best father and the best husband that I can be for them. Because tomorrow's not promised. And after a scare like that, I take it to heart. Really, it really changed my outlook in life. My youngest asks me every morning to ride the motorcycle to school. And my favorite part is the 10 minutes that we get to sit in front of the school and wait for him to go in and just talk, sit there and, no phone, no, just attention on him. And it's special. And something I've taken for granted for years. My oldest, life's precious, and you just got to do it. You've got to prioritize the things that matter the most in your life. And it's been a struggle for me. I start a business for that freedom and that, I don't know, the hope that one day I make it big, right? Like that's everybody's dream. That's been my dream my whole life, to make it big and do something good for myself and my family, leave something for my kids that's meaningful and special and that they can be proud of, that legacy, so to speak. And so, here I am, not failing, but floundering personally, because I'm still building the businesses. I'm working behind the scenes and I'm handling more of the things that I should have been doing this whole time, right? I'd probably be in a much different position had I taken the time to write up marketing material and focus on callbacks to customers and all those things, right? But life, man, it's hard when it feels like it's just never ending. And so you quickly get too busy to make those callbacks, or you're too tired to be creative to write up some marketing material or make that Facebook and Google and whatever else, social media posts online for your business to help grow and elevate your position. And we're all guilty of it. But like I said, it's not who I am to be sitting in the sidelines waiting and watching everything get done. I want to jump in and get my hands dirty and run the polisher and make those connections with those customers in person and build those relationships. The smiles, the happiness at both shops when they come and pick it up and it's all repaired and they have their air conditioning back, or their brand new car looks better than when it was on the showroom floor, whatever it is, right? There's so many different things, but it all boils back to the same thing. And that's what I love. And so I'm feeling a little disconnected and I'm feeling a lot unfulfilled in that role in my life. And so balancing that and also trying to trust the process. And it's hard. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do is this. and I don't love it. There's nothing I can do about it except to just roll with the punches and keep doing it. But it's certainly exhausting. And it's put me in a place that I don't know that I've ever been. And it's not a bad place. It's a confusing place. But it's not like it's bad feelings. It's not like I'm depressed or I'm just a ball of emotion, and it's hard to navigate. But the most important part is that I walk in the house and I'm able to be disconnected. I'm not fresh out of the shop. I'm not fresh out of work. I get to be dad and husband and go play ball or play video games with my kids. Whatever it is that they want to do, we get to do. Because during the day, I got so much stuff done that I would normally have done at night when I was at home with them. I don't feel like I'm neglecting them in favor of the business anymore. And that's a really cool feeling. It feels good to be able to say that. So anyways, guys, I could rant about what's going, the thoughts that are going through my head all day and what I'm feeling. But I'm just going to start rambling. And I'm trying really hard not to ramble. It's just where I am, and my head's going a million miles an hour, and my heart's going a million miles an hour, and the two aren't quite intersecting at the moment, and it's kind of got me struggling. So thank you guys for watching, hanging out, riding along with me on this little tangent, I suppose, update of sorts, but I appreciate it. I hope that, maybe you gain something out of that and or feel like something is more normal than you thought it was. What you're going through isn't abnormal. What you're feeling isn't abnormal. The whole goal of this is to be as real and raw as I could possibly be. And that means we're going to talk about some stuff that's not so fun. And that means we're going to talk about some stuff that's a lot of fun, But for the most part, it's just going to be whatever's going on that week or that day, what's going on in my head when I hop on the bike is what we're going to talk about. And this week, unfortunately, it's kind of a downer. Health scares are not fun, but they're very relatable. And everybody knows somebody that's gone through it, or they've gone through it themselves. Maybe not a stroke, but they've gone through some sort of health scare. And so it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to give up. And I'm not giving up. It's not in my DNA. It's not in my ability to just give up. I may walk away for a minute, refresh, reset, and come back and tackle it from a different angle. But giving up's not an option. And that's not an option for you either. It may sound easier and, less painful or whatever, to just give it up, but it matters. You matter, and people care. And so if you think they don't, you're wrong. I've had more people reach out to me in the last 3 weeks that I haven't talked to in years and talk about how they've gone through the same thing, or they know somebody who's gone through the same thing and how scary it is, but they're all supportive. And man, community is just, it's such a good thing. And you just don't know who's watching and who's listening and who's paying attention to your journey. But they're out there. So thank you guys again. Leave a comment if you've got some ideas or some thoughts. Again, we went on the same boring ride as we did last week. I was going to jump on the bike and go for a little longer cruise, but time is of the essence this morning. I've got some meetings and the brain wasn't cooperating. So that's what we got to do today, is go right around the thinking place and be raw around the lake, just like I always am. So again, all the YouTube stuff, right? Like, share, subscribe, comment, share it if you feel so inclined, but hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in.